The story of Lil Yummy is probably the saddest and most insane story I've ever talked about on my channel. Lil Yummy was born Robert Sandifer in the south side of Chicago on the 12th of March, 1983. His now famous nickname, Lil Yummy, came from
Man, I thought this was gonna be something like recently, bro. 1983? That's a long time.
the boy's love of cookies. He was never given a real chance in life. Both Yummy's parents were teens when he was born. As a baby, his mother was a prostitute and his father was in jail. Yummy's mother used to beat her children violently, and at only 4, he was taken away to live with his grandmother. Things didn't get much better for Yummy, though. His grandmother was housing 19 children, so Yummy ended up being completely neglected. He was also abused by his grandmother, and Yummy would often be found with
Oh yeah, this is why he became a killer, bro. His upbringing, dog. Like, kids from Chicago already got it bad. Like, I got some family members from Chicago, bro. Like, no kids already bad as hell, bro. Like, you beating on them and stuff, that's just... Cause, you know, kids gotta be cared and nurtured for, like, you beating on them and all this other type of stuff, and then you gotta live with the grandma beating on them, like, dang. But you was probably bad anyways, but, you know, that ain't how you, like, bring up a kid, bro. That nigga just gonna be terrorizing the streets. Especially up in Chicago, it's like, all that gang activity and stuff just circulating. Yeah, if it's like I got a list, it's because I got it in my retainers right now.
cigarette burns all over his body. At only 8 years old,
She was putting the cigarettes out on this man, bro. I bet y'all the grandma had been the first person he killed.
Yummy dropped out of school and became involved in the streets. Crazily, at this age, Yummy learned how to drive and began robbing cars. He also became known in his neighborhood for breaking into houses. At this time, he fell in with the black disciples who used kids as drug runners because they would receive such light sentencing. Yummy even got BDN tattooed on his right forearm, which stood for Black Disciple Nation. At 10, Yummy was arrested for armed robbery. The police, after arresting Yummy, took him to a psychological examiner who reported Robert is a child growing up without any encouragement and support, and that he has a sense of failure that has infiltrated almost every aspect of his inner self. Not long after this arrest, he was sent to the Lawrence Hall DCFS shelter on Chicago's North Side. This was a place for troubled homeless boys to stay, but Yummy ran away and continued his life of crime. All of these activities meant Yummy had 23 felonies at the age of 11. He genuinely scared cops, lawyers, and judges because of how little he cared. An interview with a lady who lived on his block describes very well how bad he really was.
How long did you know him?
Since I've been staying around here,
How long was that?
about a year.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What was he like?
Bad.
Bad? Like, when you say bad, what do you mean?
Man, all this kid need, bro, is like, you know, he need like, back then, you know, he probably just needed like an OG, bro. That's all he really needed was like an OG, you know. Hey, boy, you should be doing that. Dude, you know. No, just guide him, bro. Like, that's all he needed. Like, that's all these bad-ass little kids need up in life is just the OG, bro. That's gonna lead them on the right path.
Fighting, stealing, breaking into people's houses.
I think you should have answered the question. Yeah?
Yeah, no father figure, bro. That's all.
Come on, open up that door.
Did you ever see, like, the police coming to his house?
Every other day.
Every other day the police were coming to his house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? When you found out that he was killed, right? What did you think?
I mean, it shocked me. He shouldn't have got killed like that. I mean, he didn't have to die the way he was killed, but that's the life you live. That's what happened.
At 11, he was supplied with a gun by a member of his gang and began flexing it to scare people on his block. Sadly, this gun would be the beginning of Yummy's end. A BD member ordered the 4'6" child to carry out a hit on arrival. He approached a group of boys standing on South Perry Avenue around 6:30. Yummy walked up to 16-year-old Keonta Britton and asked him what gang he claimed. Britton told the 11-year-old he wasn't involved before Yummy pulled out a gun and shot him in the stomach at point-blank range. Yummy sprinted away and police quickly arrived on the scene. The police asked the victim who shot him, and Britton replied, "Yummy shot me. I knew it was Yummy. I saw his face before he shot me." Clearly, Yummy, despite his young age, was well known to his rivals. Thankfully, Britton was able to be saved, but Yummy's next victim later that day wouldn't be so lucky. Only 2 hours later, Yummy came back. Just around the corner of where he shot Britton earlier, he spotted 6 guys playing football. He walked up with no mask, wearing a shirt that just said "Boss," and opened fire erratically. Bullets went everywhere. A parked van was hit, a house window was hit, and tragically 14-year-old Shavon Latrice Dean was hit in the head. Shavon, who wasn't even with the boys but simply walking past, died an hour later. The boys Yummy was trying to shoot identified him to police, and a manhunt for the 11-year-old began. Yummy began living in abandoned houses while...
I don't know if this kid died. He probably died. Yeah, bro, he need to be locked up for about a good 30 years. I ain't gonna lie.
While being
Good 30.
supported by some BDs. CPD and even the FBI were now looking for him. Yummy decided he was going to turn himself in and went back to his old neighborhood 3 days after the murder. Here, he met his neighbor, who he asked to call his grandmother and to pray for him. When the neighbor came back out, he was gone. Little did Yummy know, high-ranking BDs decided he needed to be killed because they feared the little child would become an informant. After being threatened by their own gang, BD brothers Craig and Derek Hardaway agreed to kill Yummy.
Craig to kill him.
Why did Robert die?
By means of not my control.
And was it...
Dang,
your
his
life
teeth
versus his
effed up.
life?
Absolutely.
You thought it was that simple as either you do this or you die.
And that's how it always boils down. It's not like any wiggle room when you live in that lifestyle.
So you're saying you had no other choice?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
When the neighbor went inside to call Yummy's grandmother, the brothers drove up to Yummy and promised to get him out of Chicago. The brothers drove Yummy to a railroad underpass. They ordered Yummy to get out of the car and get on his knees. Once he did so, 16-year-old Craig shot him twice in the back of the head, killing Yummy. They left the body, which was found the following day.
Bro, they ain't have to do that boy like that. I ain't gonna lie, dog. That's pretty sad. Like, even though he was a killer, bro, I mean, you can't just take someone's life like that, dog. Like, he's 11 years old, and this nigga like he about 30.
Yummy's story became world famous after his death, even making the cover of Time magazine. His tragic story became synonymous with the struggle of impoverished children across the nation who have been completely abandoned by the world. Yummy's story had a big effect on Tupac. Tupac often mentioned Yummy and dissed BDs for what they did to him.
Do you feel for those mothers who lost their children and babies to senseless gang and youth violence? Do you have a message of consolation for those mothers?
Yeah, I do. Like with Yummy, when he passed on, you know, I know that hurt his family. I know it hurt the family of the female he supposedly have, you know, shot. Just recently, this lady wrote me named.
The two brothers were found guilty of murder and served 2 decades. Derek was released in 2016 and Craig in 2020. The only positive light in this story is the pair managed to turn their lives around while in jail. After being completely abandoned by the BDs who put no money on the brothers' books, Craig and Derek left the gang.
Why not tell?
Because I was believing in the foolishness they was telling me. As far as the gangs and that lifestyle.
What did they tell you?
How they gonna be there, support, take care of us, our families.
No one is cap.
And?
Nothing. Literally nothing. No letter, no contact, no money for me, my family, they needs, no lawyer, literally nothing.
Both got their GEDs and associated degrees. Derek learned to landscape by working in the prison garden, and Craig is involved in anti-violence programs. It's easy to look at Yummy as a gangster who died the way he lived, but he was a child who never received support from anyone. He was a child who grew up in an environment where a bed to sleep on was a luxury. We're all influenced heavily by our environment. His environment was violence with no guidance. There really has to be questions asked of a society that allows an 8-year-old child to drop out of school with nothing else for him to do. Rest in peace to both Siobhan, Latrice Dean, and Yummy.
Yeah, bro, that's facts, dog. He shouldn't have died that young. He was just 11 years old, bro. He ain't even experienced life yet. Like, he was just a lost kid that just became a part of his surroundings. That's it, bro. All right, y'all. I'm see y'all for the next video. Peace.